What was it like growing up in North Korea? Why did you want to leave?
So North Korea, almost like when I describe it, it's not like even different country. It's like a different planet.
Wow.
Right? They don't, in this 21st century, they don't have electricity. Right? And if you look at the satellite photos, it's the darkest place on Earth, like literally. So I say like we have Earth Day every day in North Korea. Very good for the environment. And we don't even know what internet is. Like people have no clue, right? And they don't have any outside information. So North Korea, literally, calendar begins when Kim Il-sung was born, not when the Jesus Christ was born.
Right.
And they don't even tell us that we are Asians. They say you are Kim Il-sung race.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's the racism or at the the highest. So they do not let you know what the outside world look like. And I didn't even not know Africa, different continents. I never seen the map of the world.
Wow.
All I knew was North Korea, Americans, but they say American bastards. That's like a one word.
Really?
Yeah.
So how did you know that you had it bad, or how did you know that you wanted to leave?
I did not know I had it bad because I remember they were showing us these footages of Americans and showing the homeless people, right? And they look at America, there's no birds because everybody ate all the birds.
That's what I heard that.
Yeah.
We didn't though.
Yeah.
Actually, that's not completely untrue. What was it? The passenger pigeon? Do you guys know this?
Yeah.
They used to go out with nets and just catch pigeons and then eat them, and they drove it to extinction.
Interesting.
So that actually happened. But we do have a lot of birds, and there's pigeons everywhere.
Yeah.
Like there's pigeons on boats.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what happened?
And they show they cannot like eat the snow because they are so hungry. Basically, they are describing what we are having in North Korea, and then in schools like that, like they say there are 4 American bastards. You kill 2 American bastards. Then how many American bastards left to care? Then as a younger, you said 2 American bastards. So even though when they teach you math, it has to be propaganda.
Interesting.
Everything has to relate to one thing, is brainwashing us.
Wow.
So North Korea is actually apparently is a religion. It's a kingdom, right?
Yeah.
Kim Il-sung's parents were Christians, so he copied the Bible. Said, I'm a God, I love you so much, so I'm giving you my son Kim Jong-il. His body dies, but no, his like spirit with us forever. Therefore, he knows what you think, how much hair you in your head.
Wow.
I mean, if the people believe in Bible, I mean, why would you blame people not believing that, right? Because they cut out every information, so people do not know even what is critical thinking is.
So how did it come to be that you decided to leave?
Hunger. I was
Wow.
13 years old. I was luckily by then I was living in this border town, and at nighttime I could see lights coming from China, and I was thinking maybe if I go build a light store, I might find something to eat.
Wow. I did an interview with some New Zealanders who rode motorcycles through North Korea into South Korea. Did you ever hear of them?
No.
So they organized what these individuals wanted to do was travel motorcycle. They wanted to ride motorcycles along famous routes. So they did like the Silk Road. They did the coast of South America, and then they wanted to do through North Korea into South Korea, but there's no real roads to do it through, so it's very difficult. But they were telling me how when they went through there, they were saying like, this is what they explained to me, and so this is hearsay, and I just you can correct me, that if there was like a farm and a cow died,
Yeah.
they couldn't eat the cow.
No.
That someone would have to come and take the meat and spread it around the country evenly to everybody or something like that.
No.
What would happen?
So North Korea, there are it's a caste system. They began with the communism, right? Let's make everyone equal. But now they ended up with the 50 different classes within same people.
50?
Yeah.
Wow.
They divide 3 big categories and they divide the subclasses to 50 different classes. And you never can go up, you can only go down. So that's how they prevent people mixing around being married. There's no like you marry up. If you marry somebody in a different class, you go down with them. You don't go up with them.
Wow.
So in that case, one of the execution that my mom saw was this young man. He had TB. TB is a huge problem in North Korea, malnutrition.
Tuberculosis?
Yeah. So he ate the cow in the farm, and then they were executing him.
For eating meat.
Yeah, so I never ate beef in my life because cows are supposedly working in the farm. So you don't have a private property. Nobody can own anything. We cannot own cows. We cannot own cars, house, nothing we can own, right? It's a communism.
So you own nothing, and you must be very happy.
Yeah, that great reset looks better every day, doesn't it?
Yeah, really.
It
Tell us
completely
about our
frees
future.
you.
Yeah.
So liberation. You own nothing. Yeah. So this, if the cow dies, of course the officials gotta come and take it for them. And if the normal people eat it, you're gonna be executed.
What do they
for
do
that.
with the cow?
The official top elites, they divide it with themselves.
So they take it for like the upper caste
yeah,
or
yeah, upper caste takes it, and they call even the shocking thing is like this upper caste don't even call normal North Koreans our people. They call us like trash, rubbish.
What?
That's how within North Korea different castes treating each other.
wow.
Yeah.
Is that because of like historical family things, like you weren't part of the Revolutionary Party, and
Yeah.
that's how you end up in a lower class?
So this is like what like made me very sad. America is like here all about white guilt. Like your ancestors owned the slaves, but therefore you must be guilty and you are privileged. In North Korea, the same thing, because maybe my great grandfather was a landowner, or not fighting for the communist side, then they say your blood is tainted forever. Not my. How do you choose your ancestors, right? You can never do that. How do you choose your skin color? You cannot do that. And so they punish you by being associated to that. It's called guilt by association.
Right. I
Sounds
mean, it's,
familiar.
we're going through this and it's
Yeah.
getting worse.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to talk about the comparison between wokeness and stuff, but we'll get there. So you were 13 and you were hungry,
Yeah.
and you saw China,
Mm-hmm.
and you decided to leave. So how long did it take? What did you do from there?
So I was initially gonna go with my own sister who was 16 years old. I was 13. And then one day I got really sick. So they took me to hospital. And by North Korea, we don't have like electricity, x-rays, right? Doctor just literally rubs your belly. And then nurses using one needle to inject everyone.
Wow.
People don't die from cancer in North Korea. We die from hunger and infection mostly. And then they operated on me that day without any anesthesia. And then they said, it's appendix, but it's okay. People cut bones in North Korea without any anesthesia. It's a common thing. So I woke up and they was like, no, you see, you got malnutrition and infection inside you. And they closed me back, and then I could not go, right? I might mostly die from infection, so she had to leave. So she escaped first with her friend. And then
Was there retaliation from the government for your family?
it was too quick. And another thing is that in North Korea, a lot of people die from starvation. So they say, oh, I'm going to go to work. And then father leaves home and he doesn't come back and he died on the road to the work. So disappearance is a very common thing for the people. You know, death is like always near. I mean, you see the death bodies on the streets every day. It's like trash, right? So I never thought that was like, I'm normal. I thought it was in the morning when you go to train station, there are like so many bodies left died, and then they just collect it like woods, right? They are bodies get very rigid and just put them together, and then they don't even like bother to bury them, just like put on like on the one side. And you see like rats eating human flesh. You see these children chasing these rats. They're eating human eyes first. Then somehow these rats have disease, so children die. Then the rats eat us back. This cycle between rats and kids eating each other.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Okay, so after the hospital, you're still 13 at this time.
Yeah.
And then what happened next?
So I found a note that my sister left me and saying, go find this lady. She's gonna help you to go to China. So that was like right after I got out of hospital. I took my stitch. I was like not walking very well still, but I went to my mom to find her.
You took your own stitches out?
No, they did.
Okay.
And then the next day I with my mom went to the lady. We found her, and then she said, oh, I can help you to go to China, but just don't tell them that you are mom and daughter. And then just tell them you're older than like 13, right? They say you're maybe 18 or 19, and told them my mom you're like 35. She was in her 40s. I had no clue why they were doing that, but which was they were selling us
Wow.
to human traffickers. Yeah.
So what happens next?
So I crossed this frozen river, Yalu River, and I mean there are guards with a machine gun standing there gonna shoot you if you cross. But because the human traffickers bribed the guards, we were able to go. And as soon as we arrived in China, the first thing was my mom being raped in front of me. But the thing is, so there's no sex education in North Korea, right? I don't even know the word sex by then. I don't even know what kiss was. Like, love doesn't exist. We don't know the concept of love in North Korea.
Now that sounds like the most villainous thing I've ever heard.
Yeah. We know love, but it's only love when we have love for their leader.
Of course.
In the written form. But they do not talk about romance love, so I never heard my mom says, like, I love you, ever. I never knew that was a word that people used.
That's something I didn't know. I mean, I still imagined with all of the problems of North Korea, people, I have this vision of this like dystopian world where the young men and women run and embrace, and they're like, if the guards find us, it'll all be over. Like, human emotion still exists in these places. People still understand these concepts. But I suppose if the authorities, the powers suppress knowledge from you, you can't have these concepts.
So this is the thing, like in North Korea, there's no concept for compassion. We have no concept for human rights, liberty, love, all these things. It's like why George Orwell talks about who controls the language, controlling the thoughts, right?
Yeah.
Doublespeak. They write the new language for you. So therefore, you're not capable of understanding this concept that we know here.
So now you leave North Korea, you find yourself in China, but you've been sold to traffickers.
Yeah.
So now you have another problem.
Yeah, I know.
And this, I mean, it sounds like that's, it's hard to quantify, but it sounds worse.
No, hunger is the worst thing if you don't eat, you die.
Yeah.
So in China, I remember like they told us, they don't even bother to force us, right? Like, oh, if you don't want to be sold, you can go back to North Korea.
Which would mean death.
Yeah, which means even if you don't get caught, you're gonna die from starvation anyway. And one thing that changed my mind was, for the first time in my life, I was seeing a trash can. And I did not know what it was, right? What is that one thing? And like, there where you throw things. Like, what is trash? Like, things that you don't need. Like, what do you mean you have things to throw away?
You don't need it? Oh my gosh.
That's when I told my mom, I want to stay. And they sold my mom for less than $100 in 21st century.
So you were separated from your mom then?
Yeah, and they sold me for less than $300. And like, because I was virgin, and that was something valuable in China. So that's how I got separated from everybody and became alone.
So then how long were you in the situation for?
Almost 2 years. Yeah. And that's when I brought my mom to me. I made a deal with a human trafficker who bought me, and I was gonna kill myself, but he said, oh, if you become my mistress, I'm gonna help you to get your family. So I did, and then he brought my mom back from a farmer that he sold, and he brought my sick father from North Korea.
Oh, wow.
So he then brought your father and your mother into China.
Yeah.
Or your mom was in China, but
China.
your dad then came.
Yeah.
And so what happens next? We'll make our way to how you made it to America.
Yeah, I know, it's a long journey. But my father had this colon cancer he got from the prison camp, and he passed away before the Beijing Olympic in 2008. I remember the world was celebrating, but like North Koreans, you have to be invisible. You're always scared to get caught by the authorities. So he passed away. I buried his ashes around 3 a.m. in the middle of the mountain. I was 14 years old. And then 1 year later, we met missionaries from South Korea. And they said, oh, if you become Christian, we're going to help you to be free. And then I was thinking, like, why do I have to keep believing in something to be saved? But, you're so desperate. That didn't matter. Even if they told me, you got to believe in water, I'm going to believe in the rock, water, whatever it was. So I became Christian. I proved my faith to them, and they told us we gotta walk across the Gobi Desert. And then if you're lucky enough not to die from the cold, because it was minus 40 degrees in February in the middle of the desert. And then if we don't get caught by the guards, then we might survive. So I don't know the probability of making that journey, and now nobody going that Mongolia route. It's too risky, so nobody does it.
So then you went the Mongolia route. Where did you end up after that?
So after Mongolia, we were in the detention center several months, and then they bring
in Mongolia.
They were moving around, and then they brought us to South Korea. Then they make us go through this insane process of screening, like they check if you're a spy or not. Are you actually North Korean or not? And then they put us in this training 3-month program and tell us that Americans are not bastards. South Korea is not colonized by America. Like, they tell us what, like bank, tell me ATM machine, and I literally thought somebody inside the machine give me money, right?
Wow.
Never seen
Nice.
such a thing. And in North Korea, we don't know what bank is. So just tell us how to take a subway. Like, tell us like we are like babies. We are adults, but babies. Never seen anything like this.
When you first got out of North Korea, were you
Mhm.
surprised by the kind of foods that they had in China?
Yeah, it
Well-
was shocking.
Like, yeah, describe your experience. What was like the first thing you had, or what was the most shocking thing about it?
But the thing is, you think when you are starving like that and go out, you think you're gonna eat a lot, but your stomach is not used to this oily, fatty food. So I remember I was throwing up constantly, and I get because I never seen this many cars and buildings in my life. North Korea, 90-70% roads are not paved, and only of them are in Pyongyang too. So never seen a traffic. I never seen a like crosswalk, right? So but the thing is also I lost everything by the time when I was in China. Like I was a slave, so it wasn't I could enjoy anything there. I was every
Right.
day was a survivor. I remember like every day I felt like I lived 1,000 years today. Every day I goes by, and before I go to sleep, I put on my shoes on. Always have to look for the exit. When the police comes, where do I run? Where do I jump? So ready to run every single day. Like you live like that.
So now you've made it to South Korea. They
Mhm.
put you through this screening. They want to make sure you're not a spy. But was there a point where they finally opened the doors and said, freedom is yours?
Yeah,
What was that like?
scary. It was so painful, so
Painful.
scary. Yeah, I mean, like I remember they said like, for the first time, like, so introduce yourself. And in North Korea, we don't say I, like we don't allowed to say I. We say like we like water, even though when I say because that's how.
Like the meme.
It's not a meme. It's
No,
actually.
no. There's a joke where we make fun of communists by replacing the letter I with we. Or
Oh yeah,
our.
they totally do that.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then like nobody asks you what do you think in North Korea, right? So they tell you your favorite color is red because a revolutionary color. Your favorite country is North Korea because
course.
your favorite food is this, right? So now in South Korea they say, oh, if you don't know, just tell us your favorite color. It's like, what the heck is that? Do I supposed to know what's my favorite color? So thinking for yourself was something not trained. It was hurting my brain. It was so painful. I literally saying, being free is not easy. Like if I was guaranteed that I'm gonna have frozen like enough potato, if I go back to North Korea, I would go back.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
It was hard.
So like if you could have survived, you would have chosen to go back?
yeah,
Like
in
with
the,
food?
for sure in the beginning, yeah. In several years time, I would have gone back. It was very painful to be free.
But you learned, you figured it out, you adapted.
Yeah, I adapted. I learned like what freedom was. For me to learn freedom was like responsibility, and once I made that connection, it became like more manageable, right? But it's scary. Like in North Korea, when you're born, your life is determined for before you were born, based on your class, your parents, everything. So, what do you mean you choose your own major, right? Like they say, what school do you want to go to? I don't know. So what major do you want to do? What do you want to do with your life? I'm like, do I have to know?
Right.
Can just somebody tell me what to do? I'm very good at like being followed.
It seems like we're seeing this transformation in the United States where young people want exactly that. They want to be told what to do.
Yeah.
They want the government to do it for them, or they've gone. A lot of young people, especially the millennial generation, so not so young anymore. In like my life, I was always told you have to go to school, you have to go to college, you have to do these things, and everyone kept trying to tell me what I was supposed to do. And for me, I was no, I'm not going to do it. But a lot of people I know went to college and just did what they were told.
Right.
When they get out of college, they ask, now tell me what to do.
Yeah.
So they're not used to being out there in the wilderness on their own. And of course, this is very, very, very different from, say, North Korea.
Yeah.
But it's part of this shift, I suppose,
Yeah.
where we used to be. I mean, Americans are fairly obstinate. You know, don't tell me what to do, I'll do what I want. But we're starting to see that shift now. So we're really close to getting into modern politics. But so I'll just ask you this. So how did you end up, so you're adapting to South Korea. At what point did you decide, now I'm going to make an even bigger journey and choose for myself to go to America?
Oh, so I invited to a conference that was in Ireland, Dublin, and and it was a free conference. So they wanted to. It's like a youth leaders, like a leadership conference. Every country participates.
Cool.
So they asked North Korea. They called up North Korea, embassy in London. Would you send a delegation from North Korea? And then they said, we only can send 3 because we have to spy on each other. So
Right.
2 is a lot easier to run, but 3, like you watching her, I'm watching you, we are watching
Wow.
everybody, right? So it's like we only can send 3. And they're like, okay, how about we sponsor 2, you sponsor 1? And like they said no. So they were like, okay, we're gonna bring these defectors then, because it's cheaper for them. Very
great.
practical. So they invited me for free, and then I decided to be a speaker. I applied to be a speaker. It was very hard to become a speaker, and the speech that I gave became very, very viral. And I was in the university in South Korea, so that led me to write a book. And Penguin Random House was in New York, so they brought me to write a book in New York. And then I wanted to continue my education, and they told me there's a school at Columbia was in New York. So
So here you are.
yeah, that's how I'm here.
So the interesting thing, I suppose, now is that you come here, you go to college. The current culture war in the United States is there's a very negative depiction of colleges, that they're embracing critical theory, Marxist ideology, and wokeness sounds like there's similar aspects to what you experienced with the ideology being, told what you can and can't like and things like that. Not identical, obviously, but well, before the show, you said that the woke was crazier.
Yeah, I think that's what I said. Like with the Fox News, like North Korea is not even this nuts. This is I mean, where do I even begin? But I mean, it just entire 4 years. I was so in North Korea. By the time when I was born, the revolution happened such a long time ago. People are not passionate believers of communism, right? Collectivism. They just so much fear. If you don't, you get executed. So you have to do it. And like first thing my mom told me as a younger was, don't even whisper because the birds and mice could hear you. And she was like, your tongue is the most dangerous weapon that you have. The things you say is not gonna just only kill you, it's gonna kill 3 generations of our family altogether. So be careful what you say, right? When I go to school in the morning, she would not say, "Oh, be careful with the strangers. Be careful with your mouth." That's
I'm worried that we're headed in that direction.
exactly.
With censorship, with big tech, with people scared to speak out. There are a lot of people that say, I was tweeting about anonymity. I wasn't really tweeting about anonymity, but I was tweeting about people who don't use their names on social media. And people said, I'm scared that I'll lose my job.
Yeah.
I can't risk my job and my life from speaking out. And if people don't speak out, we slowly slip into the nightmare version of whatever that is, where
North Korea.
the things you're describing.
Yeah, this is how we go there. This is how it begins.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I like at Colombia. Oh, this is how the revolution began, right? Because, I mean, at Colombia, these kids feel like they are so oppressed. They get triggered. They actually cry, right? By the injustice they fear, how they are so oppressed and they are the victims. And they're not faking it. They really, really, truly believe it. And the thing is, what makes me so sad is the North Koreans have to be brainwashed because we don't have any information. Here, on the tip of your finger, you have entire history. What Stalin did, what Mao did. You have know what this road has taken us to humanity. But these people are so completely brainwashed. They think white men are the source of every single evil that we have.
I think it's scarier to me that you can warn us and say, hey, this is how the revolution started in North Korea. Hey, this is what it's like when you have this communist totalitarian system. And no matter how many times we scream it, there are a lot of people in this country that reject the idea that your warnings matter, and they actively pursue these situations. I suppose they think they'll be like the higher caste, maybe, those who live in Pyongyang. They have paved roads.
Yeah.
They have electricity.
Yeah.
But they'll probably just end up being the farmers in the outskirts who are executed for speaking out improperly.
Oh, yeah. They get so much purges in Pyongyang. So I think...
Wow.
But the thing is, like, North Korea designed starvation, right? It's like a Hunger Games. There are 13 districts and there's a capital.
Right.
On purpose, Kim Jong-un starves us. Like, the other week, Kim Jong-un admitted that 11 million North Koreans are severely malnourished. He never did that before, but now he doesn't bother hiding it. Like, yeah, we have like almost 60% of the population are severely malnourished. Why is he doing that? Because one missile test that he does, he can feed 25 million North Koreans for an entire year. From 2017, he did 40 tests.
Why?
So if we just cut down few tests, nobody have to die in North Korea.
Why? I don't. So this is what I can't understand, and maybe you'll have some insight, having obviously been from the country. Wouldn't it be better for the party, for Kim Jong Un, for his close circle? Wouldn't they be wealthier if North Korea was successful and prosperous, with a well-fed population, with new technologies and electricity? Wouldn't he live better and safer?
No, but then he cannot be a god, right? Right now, you think about it. When you're full, then you are starting to think about meaning of life. You can think about philosophy, music, art, right? But when North Koreans, every day, they don't care what's going on. Am I gonna be able to find the next meal or not? Am I gonna make it tonight or not? That's all they care. So people, entire population is dedicated to surviving. So now Kim Jong has no internal challenges. It's not like other countries. There's internal any there's no one single dissident in North Korea. Have you ever heard that? There's house arrest. No.
What's his goal? What does he want? Wasn't he educated in the West?
In Switzerland.
Yeah.
It's a psychopath. He knows how humans should be treated. That's the thing. Like he's a psychopath. He knows how people should supposed to be treated, but he doesn't. Right? He goes there. He thinks he's a god. I think so. Because a lot of people who met him when they're younger, they call him like little general, right?
Yeah.
Like so everybody's like below him. So I do think he's just completely himself brainwashed that he's God.
So do you think the U.S. is? I mean, the U.S. is massive. How many people do we know the population of North Korea?
In America?
Or the population of North Korea?
Is there 25 million.
25 million.
Yeah.
So I mean, the U.S. has about 10 times the population. It seems far-fetched, I suppose, or maybe people just believe it can't happen here. But do you think that what you're seeing in the U.S. will bring us to a situation like North Korea?
I mean, right now I'm living in Chicago. Yeah, I mean, Chicago is a war zone. You cannot even walk out during the middle of the day in the downtown where there's a police cars right there. People commit crime, and you said, the system is broke. Like literally during the lootings, right? Police standing there, and this guy's destroying Nike store in the Magnificent Mile. And why don't you arrest them? And then my friend said, like, why don't you arrest them? And then he's like, I know who to arrest. And this guy just started shooting at him.
Whoa!
Police is right there, and he had to run for his life. He had a video. I'm not joking. Like, oh my gosh, he was started shooting at him, and police just standing there, nothing.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.